This is the Parra Cave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Parramatta Leagues Club, home of the Eels, and also home of Jack's Pale Ale.
Welcome to another episode of the Parra Cave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Parra Cave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Parra Cave Podcast. Troy Warner here, and here we go again. It's Manly and Parra. That's right. It is the second time this season that Manly and Parramatta have played in the NRL for 2025, but this time it is at Commbank Stadium, and it is a Origin affected game with both teams having a few players out through to Origin, also through to injury as well. And look, really looking forward to this clash. It is at Friday night at Commbank Stadium, 8 p.m. Cannot wait for that one. It should be a pretty reasonable crowd, being the only game being on Friday night. But it will be interesting to see with the Eels in 16th spot at the moment and the Sea Eagles in 6th spot. Look, both these sides, they came into the competition in 1947, so a bit of chemistry there, but that's probably where it stops because they are a bit of arch rivals. As we know, Parramatta defeated the Sea Eagles in the grand finals of 82 and 83, back-to-back there, back in the 80s, a long time ago now. But that doesn't matter. That's where I guess you could say the arch rivalry started, but maybe even a little bit earlier than that as well. The 1976 grand final as well probably started in the 70s, but then really in that 80s period it started as well. Look, just going into a few of the players that have played for both teams. As you know, I love to look at players who have played for both sides, and look, there's been quite a few, as you could imagine, with both sides coming in the competition in 1947, so some of these names will be familiar, others may not. A few of them I've had on the podcast, which I've been lucky enough to interview. Some of them I would love to interview on the podcast, but names like Jack Afamasunga, Jacob Arthur, who's actually playing in this game on Friday night, Brett Arthur's son, Brett Atkins, and Chase Blair. Now, you remember Chase, he went down to Melbourne and had the long sleeve jerseys. I think he would have been one of the last players to wear the long sleeve jersey. Nathan Brown as well, coming off the back fence. He will be doing that again on Friday night. He's playing in this game on Friday night for Manly this time. Aaron Cannings, he was a front row forward. Stephen Crouch, Andrew Davey, recently, I think a couple of years ago, retired from the game. Shane Dunley, Mike Eden, who I've had on the podcast previously, played there in the 80s. Kieran Foran started his career at Manly. He's currently up on the Gold Coast with the Titans, but also played against Manly for Parramatta. Joe Nalaval, Ian Gately, Jeff Gerard, who previously I think was the first player to play over 300 games of first grade. So he had a stint at Manly and Parramatta as well. David Gower, Clint Gutherson, who's obviously he is now at the Dragons, but spent a large chunk of his career at Parramatta. Morgan Harper, Daniel Harrison, who I have a game-worn jersey of in the Parra Cave, a fiery redhead, you could say. Daniel Heckenberg, Chris Hicks, Ray Hicks as well. Curly blonde hair, I think he had. Will Hopewadi, Justin Hotto, who I've had on the podcast before, and you can hear on the airwaves now with the Levels Network podcast. Sean Lane, shout out to Sean, hope he is going okay. He's having a bit of a mental health break, I think, at the moment. So I think he was at the last home game for Parramatta, and I think he will be there again on Friday night in the crowd watching the boys go around. So hope you're going okay. Sean, David Lydiard, great player, great man. I won a premiership with Parramatta. Went over to Manly in the 80s as well. And good bloke every time I catch up with him. Darcy Lussick, Jamie Lyon, he'd probably be one of the most notable ones there. Folletti Matteo, who I've had on the podcast. Tony Melrose, who did a podcast recently with Andy Raymond on his one. Look, there's a lot of players here. You could probably name a side, I reckon, with the amount of players that have played for both Parramatta and Manly. Some great names here. Jeff Robson as well. He probably might be a halfback, maybe. And Kalepi Tanganoa. Now, I'm not 100% sure. Someone might be able to remind me or let me know if he's still playing over in England, because I used to love Kalepi when he was at Parramatta. Massive unit he was. Kilma Tulagi, who's playing for Parramatta this Friday night, has played for both Manly and Parramatta. Anthony Watmow, Braden Williami, Ron Willie as well, Tony Williams, Michael Witt as well. So there's a few of the names there. Now, look, if you go to some of the games previously, and look, I'll start off recently. The last time these two sides played, Manly got the victory, 26 points to 12. They got the win the year before that one as well, 32 points to 18. Both those games being played at 4 points. So Manly have won the last two. Previous to that, Parramatta had won those two games, and both of those games were at Commbank. Then you go back to 4 Pines, and Manly won in 2023. Parramatta won in 2022. Look, there was one in 2021, 56-10. That was on the Sunshine Coast. That was in the COVID-affected year. 2020 as well. That was at what was then called Lotto Land in front of 2,000 people. There was one game at Commbank as well, which it was called Bankwest then. It was 19-16 to Parramatta. That was in front of no fans. That was COVID-affected as well, so that would have been a little bit of an eerie feeling, I guess. I think there might have been even the cardboard cutouts in the crowd, of which I've got one in the Parra Cave. 2016, there was a game at Commbank Stadium, as it was called then, 10 points to 9 in favour of the Parramatta Eels. Daly Cherry Evans kicked the field goal in that game. Bevan French scored the try for Parramatta. Michael Gordon 3 from 3. So a little bit of an unusual scoreline, that one. Look, if you go even back there is that famous game at Parramatta Stadium, as it was known then, 24 points to 20, 2010. That was the one where Des Hasler absolutely ripped the doors off the hinges, and lucky for I think it was the lockers that saved Jamie Lyon, because it looked like it might have nearly hit him. There's some funny YouTube footage going around of that one. There was the game at Brookvale Oval in 2013, won 50 points to 10 in favour of the Sea Eagles. Mitchell Allgood, he was sin bin that night. That was for the punch on Steve Matai. Don't condone that, but it is quite famous, that game. Hoping to get Mitch on the podcast one day and have a chat about that one. Look, there's some classic games there. What has been your favourite Parramatta Eels Manly game that you have seen or remember? As I said, there was a couple at the SCG, the grand finals as well. So, yeah, what is your favourite Manly versus Parramatta game that you have seen? There certainly has been some crackers. I went to one at the SCG. Unfortunately, it's not a very good viewing ground for rugby league, the SCG. Unfortunately, Parramatta went down that day as well. Look, over the time, 1947 to 2025, there has been 163 matches. The Sea Eagles have won 97, Parramatta 62 at Commbank Stadium. There's been 6 games. Parramatta hold the advantage there. 5 games wins to 1. One of my other favourite memories as well was 2024. Blaze Talangi running over the top of Tom Trbojevic. How good was that one? Look, going to this game on Friday night, let's fast forward. Round number 12. Let's get into it. Now, as I said, it is Origin affected, and that means that Mitch Moses and Zach Lomax are out for the Parramatta Eels. They are off on Origin duty. They are representing New South Wales, so congratulations to them. It's just a shame, though, because they absolutely blitzed it against Newcastle the week before. Lomax, as it's being called. Zach got 2 tries. Mitchell got 1. But absolutely, it was great to see them both in blue and gold for the first time this season. Mitchell was interrupted by injury at the start, and then Zach was interrupted by injury. Finally, last weekend against Newcastle, they were together, blitzed it against Newcastle, and now they're off on Origin duty. But look, that's okay. So if we look through the Parramatta side, it lines up this way. Isaiah Iongi at fullback, Sean Russell on the wing this time. He makes way, obviously replaces Zach Lomax, which means Jordan Samrani, who's been killing it off the bench, playing second row. He's played a little bit of centre and wing as well, but he lines up in the centres. Will Penasini partners him. Josh Adokar, Dylan Brown, Dean Hawkins, who was brought to the club to replace Mitchell Moses in these sort of conditions. Well, not conditions, but sort of these periods of Origin rep footy. A designated halfback coming into the side. So Dean Hawkins is a halfback. Jack Williams, Riley Smith, Junior Paolo, congratulations to him. He plays his 250th NRL game, so a massive achievement there. Mostly for Parramatta, also had a stint at Canberra as well. That man, Kelma Tuilagi, returns from suspension, who I mentioned before. Kitione Kautoga in the second row. He's becoming a fan favourite and also a little bit better player each and every game, getting that more experience as well, which is great to see. Jermaine Hopgood locks the scrum. Dylan Walker, Luca Moretti, Ryan Madison and Matt Dury have been named on the bench. Look, there has been a little bit of talk across the week that Joash Papali will could possibly start this game or come off the bench, so stay tuned for that one. That might be a late inclusion, but it'll just be good to see him get that start. There has been a lot of talk about him potentially throughout this year. When are we going to see him? Well, this could be the opportunity. So, look, there has been a little bit of talk about who will drop out of this side. It could be Ryan Madison, and then Joash goes onto the bench maybe, or someone like Jermaine Hopgood maybe goes on the bench potentially, because you've got Dylan Walker as the 14. You probably don't want Joash as a replacement as well. So it'll be interesting to see where he lines up in this side, if indeed he does. But a lot of mail saying that he will play. Now, if we look over to the Manly side, Tom Trbojevic, he captains the side with Daly Cherry Evans off on Origin duty. And now Tommy hasn't been the same this season. A lot of injuries, unfortunately, so we haven't seen the best. Let's hope, as a Parramatta fan, this is not his breakout game for the season when he gets it all right, because obviously Parramatta want to win, and I want to see them win as well, but he could be a danger man in this side. So he captains the side with DCE on Origin duty. Jason Saab, Lehigh Hopewadi are on the wings. Tolu Kula and Ruben Garrick are in the centres. Luke Brooks and Jake Arthur is the halfback. He returns to Parramatta, having obviously played previously there as well. Ethan Bullymore and Siwa Takiaho are the front rowers. Jake Simpkin is the hooker. Hamoli Olakawatu, he's the 19th man, I think, for New South Wales. He will get released from camp, allowed to play. Ben Trbojevic, Jazz Tavanga on is the lock for the interchange bench. Lachlan Croker, Corey Waddell, Nathan Brown, Matthew Lodge plays his first game since the semi-finals last season for Manly. So looking forward to a good couple of battles here. Isaiah Iongi and Tom Trbojevic, that'll be an interesting one. The experienced one up against the young bull, I guess you could say, Isaiah Iongi. I think Parramatta have to watch the edges with Jason Saab and Kula, because they have a really good combination, and they have carved Parramatta up previously on that left-hand side, so that will be something to watch there. But a lot of speed, Jason Saab. Some would say he's the fastest in the NRL. Mind you, Josh Adokar, he has some speed as well, which has been great to see. Dean Hawkins up against Jake Arthur. Look, those two halfbacks, probably a little bit inexperienced. So that'll be interesting there. This is a game for Dylan Brown to really step up, I think. Look, he wasn't the same sort of player with all that contract drama going on at the start of the year. That has been solved. He has now played, I think, 3 games with Mitchell Moses, and we have seen a better Dylan Brown with Mitchell Moses playing alongside him. Mitchell isn't here in this game. Let's hope that Dylan still has that confidence without Mitchell being there, and can lead from the front, lead this team around, and hopefully this can be a blinder of a game for Dylan as well. Junior Paolo as well, 250th game. You want to win your milestone games. Let's hope let's hope the team can really get the job done, and Parramatta get the victory there. So, look, a few interesting combinations there. I think the bench will be interesting to see who comes up. If we go to a few of the stats for the teams, and both teams are last start winners, with the Sea Eagles defeating the Cowboys 24 points to 6. That was up at Townsville, and Parramatta getting the victory in Newcastle 28 points to 6. Parramatta 179 points scored for the season, and Manly 248, so a massive difference there. So we know Manly can score points. The problem for Parramatta has been defence this year. They have led in 278 points, and Manly 210. Completion rates are relatively the same, 77% for Parramatta, 78% for Manly. The average points scored, that's what I said before, 17 for on average for Parramatta, Manly 24. The points conceded is the problem, with Parramatta conceding on average 27 points, Manly 21. So there's a few of the team stats there. So look, really looking forward to this game. I will be out there at Commbank Stadium, so if you do see me, come and say g'day. Always love to meet some listeners of the podcast. Look, it's going to be wet during the day. Hopefully that doesn't have much of an impact of the game at night. So it will I had a look at the forecast. It probably won't be rainy, so don't hold me to that. I'm not a weatherman, even though they can't get it right sometimes either. But the forecast says that it'll be raining during the morning up until about lunchtime, and then it will be easing off, and then not raining at kickoff. So it could be slippery conditions anyway, so ball security will be crucial. I think the key for Parramatta is to get off to a good start. I say it every week, but get off to a good start. Don't give away cheap penalties. Don't give away cheap ruck infringements, 6 agains. And look, the forwards just go forward, give the backs the room. Got the speed out in the wings with Josh Adokar. So hopefully we can use that one. So that, I think, is the key for Parramatta. Is there going to be a lot of points scored in this game? Look, I think there will be about... I think the score will be about 24-20 to Parramatta. I'm going to say Will Penasini, the first try scorer for Parramatta. I did say on the Talking Parra podcast that a bold prediction would be for Will to get 3 tries, and people laughed at me. We'll just have to wait and see. I think that is really bold, as I think Will has struggled a little bit this season and not playing up to his standard, but hopefully this could be a breakthrough game for him. I think there was 4 players that extended their contracts during the week, and he was one of them. So that is good news for him and the club, and for the fans, that he will be sticking around Parramatta for a little bit longer. Look, that is the game day preview. Parramatta and Manly, as I said, if you see me out at Commbank Stadium, come and say g'day. Love to meet some listeners of the podcast, always do, and let's hope Parramatta get the victory, and just slowly but surely climb up that ladder from 16th spot. So let's hope the boys can do it. Look, it doesn't matter where you are on the ladder for these arch rival games. It tends to bring the best out of both sides. Even if you're down the bottom, up the top, this will be really interesting. Look, Manly will go into this game as favourites, but you can never underestimate an underdog, and that is Parramatta. They are at home. They will have the home crowd advantage. Let's be loud and proud, Parramatta fans. Let's let the players know that we are there for them, show them our support, and let's get them across the line. The Parra Cave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Parra! How you going, mate? Are you a Parra Cave podcast listener?
I am, bro. It's a great podcast. Everyone tune in.
Go Parra!
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Parra Cave Podcast. See you next time.